käyttämiseen ja tuottamiseen ja jakamiseen. Eli tässä nyt tulee, pitäkää silmät ja korvat auki, nyt tulee käytännöllistä tietoa ja kysykää kysymyksiä. Andres, you have the floor. Try to keep this in 15 minutes if you can, so that we can have a few questions after the show.
I will try to do my best. So, it was really great to see this general mood and approach in opening data at the public sector at municipality of Helsinki and other institutions during the previous panel discussion and over the day. And so I believe that that proportion, 4% of available data, 96% of hidden data in deep web will change. And how to help that, how to make that invisible data more available. For this purpose, we are here to encourage you to do this opening of your data and to provide our service of ELRC consortium in this process. And first, of course, it's important for you to look on the data, but what is produced every day at your organization in your everyday work, not only just as the source of information, as working documents, but also as a very valuable language resource, what could help to develop automated translation, and not only that, but other language technology services as well. And so these are documents, reports, speeches, meeting minutes, what are the documents, what are collected inside your institution. And especially for translations, many organizations outsource translation work to language service providers. And we encourage you to take care that you get, as a result of this contract, not only translation itself, but also translation memory. And we just had the example of Helsinki municipality, but we received translation memories and opened that as an open data. So this is a very good example, but we know that in some institutions they just receive translated documents, and when they have to translate similar documents, sometimes they overpay for that because they translate again repetitive content, repetitive sentences. Just by collecting and reusing these translations and translation memories, you can immediately get benefit of cost savings without any other automation, but by applying translation memories. And of course, by using those memories in machine translation, that could further improve that usability. And for this you have to take care about legal aspects, of course, and for this there will be the next presentation on legal dimension. If you look at the language resources, we can see a certain life cycle starting from like identification of the data, recognizing this as a language resource, then production from this raw material into actually usable language resources, when validation of data, quality checking, cleaning, and filtering were necessary, then getting use of it by using in-house, by sharing, by distributing to other for other developers, users, institutions to use, and ensuring maintenance and preservation of these resources so that they do not disappear or become outdated. And in that life cycle and value chain of activities, we can provide assistance of this ELRC project initiative. In identification of the data, of course, it's you who know what data do you have, but if you have doubt or uncertainty with legal aspects, whether this data could be opened, whether it's under PSI directive or are there any restrictions, then our help desk can provide you legal assistance consulting on these matters. When we can provide tools and techniques, some of them I will touch upon a bit later, to process the data. For example, to anonymize data, to ensure that personal data do not appear in shared resources, as well as validation, and when final stages of processing and description of data, we again can here to provide you our service and assistance. And for the data, yeah, as you hear it, and as you well know, it's in many different formats. And most of these formats can be of good use. So even if they may seem at the first glance difficult to process, there are many techniques to extract useful data, even for difficult to process formats. Just some examples here for terminology resources, not just parallel data, but terminology data is also very useful. If it's a book, then it's a big challenge. It involves optical character recognition first, and maybe this is not the primary source we are looking for. But for the electronic resources, they may be in different formats, just in plain text or Word documents, what are used by some departments, institutions, in PDFs, in HTML formats, in a semi-structured way, in Excel sheets, spreadsheets, or in tagged textual formats, or stored in term base. And this is an example of terminology data, but on other kind of taxonomies or database data, they also could be used as a source of text or of linguistic data to instruct machine translation and to make it better. On this, how can we help in this process? We can help you in identification of resources. For example, we are very interested to learn about multilingual websites, what could be crawled, and from which data can be extracted. We are interested to learn about other public institutions what should be and could be involved in these activities and what have valuable data. And actually, yeah, help you in assessing resources that you do have. When for cleaning and processing data, there are many aspects what are sometimes quite complicated, especially if you you do not have technicians or experts in the field, like making sure that the data is free of formatting, that character encoding is in the right way, that files are converted to the processable formats, and so on and so on. And again, in these steps, if you have competence in-house, you are welcome to use tools and techniques what are developed and are in possession of our consortium members, and what we are happy to help you to use to process your data. So there could be scenarios where you are interested to process your data in-house and to provide final result and to share the final result. And in that scenario, we can provide these tools to you. In many cases, we can free you up from this burden of processing and doing technical work. And so you are very welcome. And we encourage you also to provide raw data, raw documents, and when we will take care about processing tasks. And so, but if you want to do that in-house, some of these tools that I would like to highlight are tools for automated extraction of parallel data from multilingual documents. And here, Let'sMT technologies and platform could be quite useful. It's resulted from EU framework program project in university and industry cooperation, and actually Jörg Tiedman did a great work in developing these techniques and tools, how automatically extract data from different format documents. So basically how you could use these techniques. If you are interested in that, we will be happy to provide you access credentials, username and password to register you in this system. So, and when there will be a virtual space, your own private space opened on that online platform, accessible just to you, where you can upload your documents, and when parallel data will be automatically extracted from Word documents, from PDFs, from Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, TBX, TMX, and XLIFs, and many different formats. And also basic validation of the data will be also automatically done to make sure that there's to avoid some errors. For example, if a wrong document is submitted, not to spoil everything with a few wrong documents. If you supply hundreds of documents, when those will be automatically validated what they really are matching and include the needed linguistic data. Other kind of tools what we can provide you are tools for using comparable corpora. These are documents what are in different languages about the same topics, what share the many similarities, but what are not exact translations. For example, if you adapt the same information to different language communities, making some variations, adaptations, so adding some information or excluding it. So when you will get similar documents, but what are not matching exactly, and you need to apply different techniques to get parallel data out of these. News pieces are a very good example. For example, if you address the same news piece to local audience, this is one text. If you translate it to international audience, you usually add some explanation or make it shorter to make it appealing for international audience. And still, these tools could be very useful to extract those parallel fragments, the parallel parts out of this data. And to get sentence-aligned material, what could be very useful for machine translation. When terminology was mentioned many times in previous discussions, and it's again a typical problem with machine translation, also with human translation, to use the right terminology fitting the context and domain. And for this, we again can provide you tools developed by research and industry cooperation to help create the good and high quality terminology resources both for human translators and machine translation. And just an example of these tools is if you have this so-called comparable corpora or information in one language and another language, you can apply these tools to automatically find, identify terms and what translations are actually used in these documents, and to have a list to get this raw terminology data to provide for cleaning and to facilitate preparation of terminology resources of the terms that actually are used, and to standardize terminology process. And you can also use terminology services, online terminology services, And here the workflow is what you can upload your documents online. For example, if you need to work on some translation projects, you can upload your source language documents. Terms will be automatically identified in these documents, and translation candidates provided looking and searching for these translation candidates in terminology databases such as IATA database, a huge terminology database of European institutions, Eurotermbank database, and some other industry terminology databases. So that in case there are translations for these terms already available in these databases, you will not need to spend time looking in various sources. Those will be automatically suggested and provided to you. And also these services enable you integration into CAT translation tools like Trados or MemoQ, what are widely used in translation work to give them at hands of translators. So for legal aspect, that will be the next presentation, but I just want to highlight you that in case of any doubts, please contact the legal help desk of ELRC, and we will help you to solve this, and we can also provide you standard licensing agreements what can help you to make sure that you contract translators or data producers, copywriters, that IPR rights are covered in legal documents. When for data anonymization, again, there are tools for that, and how actually to share the data that you have. There are two options available. You can do that through consortium website. That is actually the easiest and preferred option. You can go to this consortium website, lrcoordination.eu, and there is a data repository where you can sign in and upload and provide your resources. And the other option, if you want to provide those, for some reasons do not want to do that through consortium members, but directly to Commission, to CF automated translation people, you can also do that through email, in like old-fashioned way, but in directly to Commission. And in any way, we are very interested, to establish this cooperation, to communicate. So you are very welcome to contact us, to involve the activities. The next major activity will be conference this autumn, but we keep this portal as a live cooperation platform, and we'll also, for those of you who are interested, are happy to establish closer cooperation on both legal, technical, practical, and other aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Andres. Tässä ei nyt ole aikaa kysymyksille. Tässä tulee kyllä vielä sellainenkin hetki, että voi kysymyksiä esittää.